Welcome back. Sorry about that. I just had a slight technical difficulty with the presentation, but we're back online for part two now. Yeah, talking about what are some of these visual kind of marketing channels now that we can further leverage. We've talked about the organic piece. Things like display and remarketing. So what I'm referring to now are really kind of the paid channels, but things that you can leverage. And I'll just talk quickly across these and give you some of the benefits, pros and cons of each, and just to give a brief explainer of what they are. So really the display and remarketing channels are basically when you go to things like, the Warrnambool Standard, the Geelong Advertiser, even news.com.au, The Age. It could be a whole bunch of sites. There's about 2 million in Australia. And you see these visual ads here. That is what we call the Google Display Network. Now, one of the benefits around the Google Display Network, it is a really cost-effective network for you to get on board with. Now, people would think, oh, you have to actually spend a lot of money and you have to actually work with the, with the Age or the Standard or anything like that. It's actually incorrect. Just through the Google Ads platform, you can set up these campaigns and get them deployed out and in front of users. And that's the important point. The next few channels that we talk about, they all target a particular user. They're not necessarily targeting the Standard or those other platforms and saying, I want to be on that website. If you fit the targeting criteria that is set up in the campaigns, you will see the ads there. And I'll just give you an example of this. I took this screen grab this morning, so I was getting PayPal advertised to me. I'll go off to the Standard and see what's happening on there live today. There you go. So I was recently looking at some masks for myself and a few other people, some, I guess, more designer ones, and they were kind of showing up there. So that's a bit of remarketing coming back to me. Again, that's really specifically targeted at me. Foxtel, for why anyone on earth would buy Foxtel these days is beyond me, but they are trying to target me through the Google Display Network here. So just to explain that, Foxtel haven't gone to the Standard and said, can we advertise on you? There's a network, an advertising network that's enabled on this website, which allows Foxtel to target me. It might be because I'm a male, 40 years old, and I'm interested in streaming platforms, and therefore I'm getting that advertised too. So one of the great things about this channel is that ad there actually hasn't cost Foxtel anything to put there. So it's not, you basically don't pay for impressions. But what you do pay for is if someone clicks it. I won't click it, but it is a cost per click model. So you can actually, if you get really smart with this, particularly at the moment with regional being the only areas that you'd really want to be targeting, say if you actually wanted people coming to engage with you, you could be putting out a Google display ad. You could be putting a few $100s to it and getting thousands and thousands and thousands of eyeballs across regional Victoria, wherever you choose to target, at least seeing your brand and potentially engaging with it. So really good model to drive brand awareness and consideration and getting people potentially clicking through to your site if you want that. So it's a really good cost-effective channel. There's the masks again, another example of Dell advertising to me there as well. I think that was on the Geelong Addy. That's why I just wanted to show you another example. So you can see the remarketing piece is fairly hard. The other PPC models and digital marketing platforms that, again, worth considering is ones like YouTube. If you have some great YouTube content, these skippable ads here, which I'm sure you've all seen and are used to now, where you kind of just tune out for 5 seconds until the button comes up. Most of us do that. A lot of people do engage with them. It's quite interesting. I see that in the data of the campaigns that we run for clients. So it actually is worth considering if you've got the right piece of content. Just FYI, this ad here, which is Grammarly, which is a US-based ad, it goes for 1 minute 45. Now, if this is played to me or you, whoever, if we don't watch more than 50% of that video, that business, Grammarly, will not be charged. So again, it works on a free impression model, which is kind of really exciting. So if you can, create a 20, 30 second, what we call pre-roller ad and get your message across and so on in the first kind of half of that video, and engage people kind of, for that, at least the 5 seconds or even up to 10 seconds, and they experience your content, you won't be charged for that. So again, can be a really, really cost-effective platform to get your brand out there. And just like the display network, you can geo-target that. You can select people with certain interests, age, demographic, all the demo data. Again, so it's well worth considering for campaigns that if you put a few $100s to this, you might get, again, thousands and thousands of views on your video. And on average, it works out at about 4 cents a view as a very broad average. So if you're willing to pay 4 cents to get your brand in front of someone, YouTube's a great one. Again, I could potentially do another session on that if we needed to. Facebook advertising, which is the one on the left here. Obviously, this is I guess I'd be surprised if a lot of you haven't kind of had a dabble in the Facebook space. Facebook these days, I've got a slide on it in a bit further on there. Obviously you need to be advertising to reach your audience at all. So it's very important that if you are doing creative, that you do a couple of key things, and that's why I just wanted to show this video to you very quickly. So this is for a client of ours, which is Maroondah Leisure, which is the Maroondah City Council. This is a pre-pandemic video where they were promoting people into a young people into a gymnastics program. In a Facebook feed, if you are going to do sponsored posts, I strongly recommend that you utilize video. Why? Because video will play automatically in someone's feed, which is always good. And it gets a lot of engagement, and the actual algorithm on Facebook, even for the paid stuff, will serve your advertising more if it's video based. So definitely worth being smart with how you come up with creative. The other thing here is to use visual elements and cues in the video, so that if someone doesn't put their sound on, they're still getting the offer. So if I play that, get the kids active, there's the offer, 2 weeks free, limited offer, yada yada, save this. So without any audio on the creative, you get the idea of what they're trying to sell and what they're trying to achieve. And then obviously you can put audio in there if need be. So that's a great example for Facebook advertising, because what I've seen a lot of people do is they'll just create a video and that sort of thing, and it's someone talking like this, and there's no engagement and there's no offers or anything coming up there. So you need to think about how people access your content. So that's the Facebook piece. We'll talk a bit more about that kind of right now. These channels really, for the tourism piece, are obviously just huge. But obviously the hard fact with Facebook, as you would all, I'm sure, nowadays be aware of, that even with a big number of followers or a small number of followers, the organic reach of Facebook is really just declined more and more over the years. I remember the glory days when it first came out 13, 14 years ago. If someone followed a page and did a business page and that business posted content, everyone would see it, and it was certainly happy days. And then obviously the algorithm has changed to become more of an advertising model over the years, and that's fine. But as I've kind of put there, Facebook will say that they prioritize posts over users and friends, and we all know that's a little bit of yep, whatever. So it's more about just understanding that for those that don't. That if you put a piece of content out and you've got 100 followers and you get 5 likes, that's the reason, because it was probably only 5 people that saw it, even if it was a really good piece of content. So Facebook is still a really important channel for a number of reasons. It is one of those places that people come and look for validation as they're coming down to experience either an area or an operation or whatever it may be. Facebook users who are dedicated to the platform will be coming when they hear about, say, the Great Ocean Road chocolatier. They will be coming here and having a look and understanding what's happening with the site. They may also be using things like Google My Business, which we've covered in previous videos. That's fine, but sort of dedicated Facebook guys will come in and look at it there in a bit more detail, because obviously, they can message the company if they want to. What I really liked here about the guys at the chocolatier is this top level banner here. We are open for business. In our previous videos, we've talked about educating users on where you kind of currently are at the moment and where you stand. And that's just a really simple way of doing that on the Facebook header image there. So please update that on your pages and put something similar in if you can. It really works well. Obviously, they've got the call to action to call. And these guys are still kind of really doing, they're live right now. And they're doing, it's chocolate story time with Lucas. Okay, so, they're still doing live content and really bringing that through. But just this page is kind of really well optimized. There's lots of information on there. They've got some good followers, link to their phone, all that sort of thing. So really important to have that, your Facebook page up to date as well. I've just got a couple of tips on that I'll show you. Particularly one thing I'm just going to jump right to the bottom here. I know that's very weird in a presentation, but pinned posts are something that I think is really underutilized. So just what a pinned post is it will actually, if you've got a post that's had really good engagement, you can actually pin it to the top of your Facebook page. There's an option there on the post to do that. And where that's really good is the first time someone loads your Facebook page, that post will be the first thing they see. So if it's a ripper piece of content, you've got great likes and engagement, and you're really happy with it, make sure you promote that. And that's an organic thing, free thing that you can do on your site. If you're struggling for content ideas on social media, I always look at these first few points here. And understand, what do people love about your company and products? And if you don't know that, ask them through surveys and that sort of thing. But if you do know, focus on that. And also, what are some of the challenges that people are having to know your product or service, or even in this time of pandemic, what are some of the challenges that people are having, and how can you help them kind of escape that? For even if it's just for a brief moment. And of course, competitor differentiation and so on. Focus on posting high quality images and videos. I can't kind of stress this enough. If you can focus on video, you will get really great engagement. This is from a post perspective I'm talking about. And it also ties into the paid piece that we looked at before. One other really key point with the social channels for both Facebook and Instagram is connecting with people on stories. Okay, stories are obviously the little circles at the top of your feed, which you can obviously add to separately to your posts. The important point there is a lot of users out there only look at stories as opposed to scrolling through their feeds. So you may have seen in stories sometimes where people actually put up a story that they've got a new post in their organic social. That's one of the reasons they do that, because they want people to actually go look at it, because people aren't necessarily scrolling through the feed. So your social strategy, so both from organic and a paid perspective, needs to include both of those formats, stories and posts. And you look at the engagement you get on your post now and look at the users that have, say, liked a post or loved it or whatever it may be. and then look at the list of people that looked at your stories, and you'll probably find they're quite different as well. So you definitely want to be leveraging both of those. Did you know that you can spy on competitors in Facebook and kind of see some creative that they may be running? So this is a little tip I thought I'd show you today. It's called the Facebook ad library. So if you just Google that, you'll see the link come up for it there. So I can look at things like, oh yeah, I thought I'd just show just a random example one. Slater and Gordon, who are obviously some lawyers in Melbourne, which I'm sure you've all seen on billboards and TV. Here's an example. So I can type Slater and Gordon lawyers in here, and I can actually see a live feed of all the ads that they are running across Facebook, Instagram, and so on, right at this point in time. So I can see all the ad sets. So why is this a really cool tool? Because it allows you to actually go in and have a bit of a spy on what your competitors are doing. So I strongly suggest you go in there and start typing in and around your competition and see what kind of ad sets they are putting in there. So a really good tool to be able to use there. So really the kind of, the final tips on the marketing piece here for Facebook are pretty straightforward. Define your audience. Who are they? Where are they? How can you solve their problem? That's a really, really big one. And think broadly with that. How can you solve their problem? Is it boredom at the moment? Is it future planning of travel to the area? Set goals. And I actually think goals in everything you're doing across organic and paid is really, really important. Why are we doing this? What's the purpose? What's the measurement? How are we going to determine success? With the content mix, there's a good 80-20 rule. So 80% of your Facebook posts to inform, educate, and entertain, and use the other 20% to promote your brand. You'll quickly get brand fatigue on what you're doing on social platforms if you're promoting the brand. We're the best, 20% off, 20% off, 20. Yeah, people are going to drop off because we don't necessarily like being sold to that directly. I've talked about making sure your page is ready and with pin posts and so on. Messenger, I know all of you are using that these days, but again, a critical one at the moment, and just making sure you track and measure. So that's across kind of all organic and paid social for Facebook and Instagram. So hopefully you've got some key tips out of that. I just thought I'd quickly finish off with what are the other channels that we look at in the digital marketing mix. And they include things like Twitter. So you can see here, this is the Bliss Twitter feed. We've obviously got some professionals that we're targeting in there. But here you go. Here's our good old mates at Foxtel again, advertising to us by the Twitter channel as well. So we saw them on the website previously via the display network. I'm sure they'd be on Facebook and Instagram as well, and they're also over here on Twitter. So they're actually running what we call an integrated digital marketing campaign where they've got a particular target audience. In this instance, I obviously fall into it, and I'm being hit on multiple channels with a message in and around Foxtel to obviously help me try and get signed up. Okay, again, Twitter can be a bit of an expensive platform. We use it. We always suggest it if your audience is on that platform, and if they are, great. But if you're not sure they are, or you've never had engagement on your Twitter network, there's no need to worry about it. But for some organisations, the engagement is there. And I would suggest for guys like Foxtel, they look at all the people that follow Netflix and related hashtags and advertise to them. That is one thing you can do on Twitter compared to any other channel, is you can actually advertise against a particular brand. So if I follow Netflix, Foxtel can say, send everyone that follows Netflix a message about Foxtel. And that it's really the only platform that you can do that on. The final one is really looking at LinkedIn. Again, probably, there's some relevancy here, I would assume, to some of you, but it's obviously a more B2B network to target advertisers on. So you can see here, for whatever reason, I'm being targeted for maybe as a business owner that I might have more than 5 business vehicles, and I can track them through. This is the advertising piece here, and I can track what all my staff are up to. Apparently, even though they're all locked down in their apartments at the moment and not going anywhere, so I'm not quite sure whether that's really effective by that particular advertiser. But again, if you're a B2B business, if you're doing you want to do things like motivation courses, team building, that sort of thing. If you offer that stuff, then that could be a platform where you've got some really nice visual content of teams engaging with your facility and perhaps showing it up there as well. And that was really it, guys. So lots of information to take on there. I've covered a whole lot of channels there at a very top level. As mentioned previously, if there is any questions or anything you'd like to know more, just drop us a note or send me an email at Joel@Bliss Search, and we'll happily help answer those. And if there's any further topics you'd be interested in hearing about, let Liz and the team at GORRT know, or by all means, shoot me a note as well. So I wish you all the best. I hope there's been some helpful tips in there, and all the best for the upcoming weeks. Take care.